Hey, looks like we're here. It says you are live, so I'm gonna believe it. I'm gonna believe what it says. I hope my microphone is on. You guys let me know. I don't like it when I talk for like 2, 3 minutes and my microphone's not on. It throws people off. It makes the videos less watchable. All right, y'all. Welcome to Bunker Nation. Come on in here, sit a spell. Let's have a little talk. Gently caress. Oop, I hit the wrong one. Caress the like button. Make sure you do that. I'm glad you guys could be here. I am sweating. It's hot. You might be able to hear I don't know, 7 or 10 watt it's a little fan. Runs off 12 volt. I live off grid. If you guys don't know me, my name is Michael Bunker. I'm an author, an off grid expert. There's some things I am an expert at, and things like survival and preparedness and living off grid and doing without electricity is one of them. And here I am surrounded by a whole bunch of stuff, but it's all powered through a battery that's running off of solar, charged all day out in the sun. So that's what's going on. It is hot. I don't have any air conditioning. I never have any air conditioning unless I'm somewhere else. My allergies are a little bit active, as you can see in my eyes, my little bit of swelling in my nose. But it's been getting better, so I hope it's going to get better. You guys come on in and type where you are, wherever you are in the world. Just type in and say, "Hey, I'm in Tuscaloosa." Hello, Nathan in Pennsylvania. Hello, Daniel in Michigan. It says YouTube is loading my show late. They're after me, man. Hello, Clancy. You guys come on in and say hi. If they're loading me late, we'll have people drifting in, but that's fine. That's what we are. We're just dust in the wind. Hello, Facebook user in Indiana. If you're a Facebook user, you can go to facebook.com/StreamYard and you can let them use your name. Otherwise, you show up to me as Facebook user. Hello, Pat. Freeland, Maryland. I used to live in Maryland. Lived in Upper Marlboro for, I don't know, 3 years, 3.5 years when I was a youngin'. Before moving back to Texas, I was born in Texas. A lot of stuff going on. My chair is creaking, which is fairly normal. Hello, Amy in Prosper. Glad to see you. A lot of stuff going on. I went down to Fredericksburg. I think I talked to you about that. Met my friend Kevin Tumlinson. Got back here. Been trying to do some work and get some things done. Been working all day today. Got a video put up for my Bunk Fit channel. I hope you guys have seen it. I hope you subscribe. Even if you're not going to do the 3 month challenge, you ought to subscribe because I'm going to put some cool videos up there with like recipes, protein. I just ate protein pancakes just now. Just now. I went up there at 6 o'clock and I made pancakes, protein pancakes in 15 minutes. 500 calories, about 50 to 55 grams of protein, very low fat, very low carbs, delicious. That's going to be part of the whole 3 month challenge is that you'll be able to come in there and I'm going to do like some recipe episodes or an episode that's got some workout stuff and some recipes. They're going to do some protein French toast. The whole point is to eat and be full and be happy and enjoy life and be able to eat stuff that you want, taste the sweetness of the land. And so all of that's going to be on there. So anyways, you should be able to find that. But if not, go to my Facebook, which all of you should know by heart, facebook.com/offgrid. I posted it a little while ago. Just go there and subscribe to that channel. Subscribe to this channel. If you're watching this in the future, if you're a future person, hey, future people, just wanted to say hi. Glad you could show up in the future. Smash the like button, destroy it, do all that kind of gently caress it, whatever you're going to do. Smash it, destroy it, obliterate it. And then come on back and we're going to talk about some stuff. I hope everybody out there is kind of paying attention to what's going on in the world. I'm trying to see which banner I'm supposed to hit here. There. Come on in, say hi. Let me know where you're at, etc. Yes, I did end a sentence with a preposition. I do that because I have a poetic license. I'm a USA Today best-selling author. That comes with a poetic license. Cindy, working and listening in Indiana. All right. Some WD-40 would not help. I have put cans of WD-40. This chair just needs to be retired, but it's the one that I have. And so I actually ended up fixing up like a lid of a one of those Rubbermaid containers in the window, so you don't see like the sunlight hitting me right in the head. It's going to get worse because here in about a month, it's not going to get dark till 9 o'clock our time. So, have you been watching what's going on? They're tearing down all the statues. People are upset about that, destroying statues and monuments. I have things to say about that. You might be surprised at my opinion, but then again, you might not. The creaking of the chair is its own monument. So, what's going on in your world? Tell me something. Tell me something. The contents in the comments. Are you having trouble finding meat? Are you having trouble finding toilet? I bought toilet paper today for the first time since before the COVID. Just saw some at the store. It's only $5 for a package, and I went, I'll go ahead. I don't need it, but I'll go ahead and get some. Went to the grocery store. The meat selection was prices were horrible. I've been buying these Opa sausages from Fredericksburg, Texas for 15 years, 20 years. Price rarely goes up. It's been $6 and I think 49 cents for a pack, 4-pack of Opas, best sausage in the world. I've been buying those for 10 years at that price, and they're $7.79. And I couldn't really find it. Normally they have like ground turkey and all that. None of that. I ended up buying turkey sandwich meat for my protein pizza. Stay tuned for the protein pizza recipe on the Bunk Fit channel, but that's not where we are. So tell me what things are like. Just, as you think of something you want to talk about, questions and comments, put them in the comment section. Even if you're on Facebook, even if you're on Twitter, even if wherever you are, just throw them in there. It's hot. I'm here for you. I named this episode "I'm Here for You" because I'm not here for me. Let me tell you about that. That's going to be the beginning of my talk about monuments and statues. I already know the things that I know, and I already know the things that I'm going to tell you, and I already know a lot of what's going to go on, and I know a lot about people. So I'm not here for me. I don't get a paycheck. I don't get a salary. I don't get really much of anything at all except the heat and the discomfort and the knowledge that I'm doing my best to try to help people. Michael, could your book ever be published again, Swarms of Locusts? I intend on putting out a second edition. It's on my schedule. I do intend to do it. I just have not been able to get to it. I just finished the final editing on the Cambodian book, God in the Storm. It's been sent off to the formatter. You guys are going to be reading that book really, really soon. And so, and it's apropos of the day. It talks about Antifa. It's got riots in it. It's a fiction book, somewhat based on an absolutely true story. And so, I'm looking forward to getting that book out there really, really soon. You guys stay tuned for that. There's going to be some opportunities to get some early copies to pre-order here probably in the next week. Let me tell you, it's a good book. I've written a lot of books, but it's a good book. It's really good. And you're gonna enjoy it. There's meat in Miami, but it's gone up in price, and the amount available is at 50%. Yeah, the prices have gone up pretty dramatically. And I agree with you, Daniel. I'm with you 100%, buddy. He said he's not interesting. He's not interesting enough to comment. So I finished that book, and we're going to be getting that book out there. As far as Swarms and Locusts, it's on my list. It's something I really want to do. I've learned so much since I wrote that book in 2000, 2001. And that book is still a really, really good book. But I'm going to have to go through and fix it, change it, extend it, expand it, and then we'll put it out again. It won't take that long once I turn to it. The reason I mention all this is that we have movie news. Not anything I can really tell you, but I can tell you this. when the COVID started and all this kind of stuff, Hollywood screeched to a stall. If you're brand new or if you're watching me in the future, I wrote a book called Pennsylvania. It's a novel. And that book sold an option for a major Hollywood film, and they are making a major Hollywood movie out of my book. Where are you? Pennsylvania, do I have a copy of you? I may not even have a copy. Everybody asked me for them, and so I send them out, and I don't have any. I was supposed to get a copy in today to sign for a friend. Anyway, so Pennsylvania making it into a major motion picture with a major director, Patrick Tatopoulos, famous creature designer and production designer, created the Independence Day, Alien, and pretty much anything you've seen. 300, Rise of Athens, or whatever. The 300. He did Stargate. He did iRobot. He did you name it. I mean, he just did Maleficent 2. He directed Underworld: Rise of the Lycans, and he's the director of our film. All that to say, the wheels are turning. The ball is rolling again. Rolling pretty good. Wish I could tell you more. Wish I knew more, but that's all I can tell you. Which is all to say, because of that, I'm working on Oklahoma. Oklahoma is the next project, the next book project. Now that I've got the Cambodian book virtually done, there's always little things you have to do between now and when it hits the Amazon store or wherever. But I'm working on Oklahoma. So Swarms of Locusts is on the list. All right, you guys get your comments and questions in and stuff like that. So I'm talking about the fact that I'm doing this for you. And I'm doing it for you because I think we're in one of those times in history that are critical. And so, we used to listen to the older folks in my day talk about World War II, talk about Pearl Harbor, talk about Vietnam, talk about these things. And I remember writing a short story in college. And that short story was basically about a guy my age who was seriously affected by the fact that our generation hadn't really had an event. Not even, this was long before 9/11, but there was no codifying or I don't know what word you want to use. There was no event where everybody had gone through this event together. And whether that's good or bad. As a student of history, as you guys know, I've studied such things. I've studied the revolutions, and I've studied the wars of Europe and of Asia, and I've studied the movements of armies and troops and empires. I've studied the conquistadors as they moved in through South and Central America and moved up through the United States and all of those things. There are moments in history where uh, everything is in flux, where there's a major flipping over of the world. It's like a big spatula on a bunker protein pancake, flips it up in the air and bap. And so everything's changed, everything's different. Not talking new normal nonsense. I'm saying we're living in one of those times. And so I have determined that despite the possible fallback or blowback to me, I want to be here as much as I can every day if I can. I'm going to scratch my back with this because it's hot. And is this bad to be doing on a YouTube channel? Is this YouTube okay? Um, I want to be here for you. And so that's why I do this. And hopefully people will like it. They'll subscribe. They can grow the channel at some point in the future. I'll make more than $5 in 3 or 4 shows, which is what I've made so far, the last 3 or 4 shows. So we'll see. When I first started doing these, and people were like piling in, and then and I was telling them meat prices are going to go up. We're going to see these interruptions. We're going to see this. We're going to see that. Telling people how to think. Everybody was like, "Dang, he's right." Right? And then everybody was excited, and I was getting 100, 200, 300 views on a video. And I said, third or fourth show, I said, December's going to come. All of this is going to wane. Things are going to seem like they're getting back to normal. Don't know anything about COVID. Have no idea if it's real. Have no idea anything about it. Know nothing about it. But I know people, and I know governments, and I know these uh, power entities who are moving pieces around the board have big intentions, have big plans for you. And one of those things is the destruction of the biggest monument. And that monument is America. And when I say destruction of America, I'm not talking about them just destroying it all and we're all here picking through the ashes, although that's definitely a possibility. I'm talking about creating of it something completely and totally other. America in name only. And this is not some neocon, I don't want to use a bad word, neocon dream or threat. I'm not a part of any of that nonsense. I'm prepared. That's what I like to tell people, and I do it for a reason. It's not bragging. When I say I'm not here for me, I am perfectly positioned for this new world. From whatever happens down to absolute picking through the ashes, post-apocalyptic America, I'm the guy who's ready for it. I'm not saying I would survive more than 5 minutes. Nobody knows that, but I'm prepared. I'm prepared mentally. I have the tools, I have the knowledge, and I know how to do all that stuff. So there's really no reason. I could be writing books and I could be doing things that are a lot more popular and that could actually make me some money, or I wouldn't be living in poverty, unable to go to town or unable to do things because I just don't have the money or the ability to do it. But instead, here I am with you. And the reason I am is because whether or not, even if you're just one of the 15 or 20 people that are watching this live now, as opposed to the many we had before, I told you people were going to go back to their lives and think, oh, we got through that. Everything's going to go back to normal. You know, confirmation bias, normalcy bias. We're going to go back to the way things are. Things are going to be a little bit more expensive, but everything's going to be fine. We have not even begun to see the fallout. We've not even begun to see a lot of what's going to happen. And I'm a little disturbed, even though I called it and I predicted it, that this was what was going to happen. So I'm going to keep doing this as long as I can keep doing it. And hopefully you guys will help me at some point and we'll like all get in together. And I appreciate those of you who have come in and donated for the $10 a month thing for keeping all the software stuff, monthly stuff I got to pay for. I mentioned it yesterday's show. I'm going to get back to talking about monuments and statues, so just hang with me. So I thought we had 6 people that were doing their $10 a month, and then turned out one of them had only donated $10. It was not set up as a recurring monthly, so that doesn't count. So we're about at 4.5, because then I had another one that came out and donated $5 a month. We need 10 people a month. 10. That's what we need. 10 people a month who can say, okay, yeah, I want this to keep going, because I can't pay for the little gadgets and all the stuff that's broadcasting this on 5 platforms with 4.5 people. It takes at least 5 just to pay for that. If not, then what's going to happen is they can just tear them all down. They can tear all the statues down and all the monuments down, and I'll go back to farming and growing things until my movie gets made and just leave the stuff that I have in my head. Not that I want to do that. I want to stay here and be able to help you guys and help everybody and be able to continue to do this stuff. But I'm a poor man. I don't have a job. I am gainfully unemployed. As much as possible, I try to write books and help people. That's it. Teach empathy, teach ways to think, teach logic fallacies so that people understand what tricks are being paid on them. teach people sophistry tricks and all those things, and that's what I do. Which leads us to the point, and that is, if you read Orwell, 1984, or any number of books, there's always a plan. Revolutionaries, people who just want to destroy, people who think that they know better, think that they can create civilization again without any of the hundreds and hundreds of years it took to build the infrastructure of the one we have. They're just going to destroy all that, and they're going to build another one suspended in the air with no foundation. Perhaps they're going to impose right think on the rest of us, and that's the infrastructure they're going to build their new utopia on. But to do so, you have to destroy the past. You have to destroy history. You have to change history books. You got to change the cartoons. You got to destroy the monuments. And I don't care about monuments. Never have. Don't care about statues. I hope that doesn't hurt your feelings. I don't care about the Statue of Liberty. Never have. I don't care about the Washington Monument. I don't care about Confederate statues. I don't personally like statues. I'm what's called an iconoclast. An iconoclast is a statue destroyer. It's an idol breaker. Those things are, for the most part, idols. Probably never should have been built in the first place. As a Christian man who's read the scriptures, I understand the arguments that they're representative. They represent a moment in time. They represent uh, memorial to people who did things and all that. Don't care. I don't see any authorization for it. And so, because of that, I don't care about statues. I don't care about the Ten Commandments being posted in county courthouses. Never got involved in that fight because I thought it was stupid. Because if the Ten Commandments aren't written on your heart, it doesn't matter. You can staple them on people's faces and drill them into their tongues. It's not going to change anybody's behavior. Hanging them on a wall, they say, is what reminds people of the foundations of the republic. But they can only be reminded of that if they have any respect or any honoring of their own parents, of their own ancestors, of their ancestry, of the good things that happen, as well as a knowledge and understanding of the bad things that happen. They don't have those things. It's not a heart condition. If the Ten Commandments aren't engraved on the heart, on the tablets of flesh of the heart, then they're useless. And we didn't have them. We didn't have them prior to this kind of late idolatry in the 19th and 20th century. Not saying we didn't have statues. Clearly, people built statues. They've always built statues, whether they're authorized in the scriptures or not. I'm talking about this idea that somehow you can hang a plaque up or you could build something and all of a sudden it means something more. People start saying, don't destroy the landmarks, quoting the scripture. Those landmarks weren't statues. They weren't likenesses of people, which were forbidden in the second commandment. They were property lines. That's what I care about. I care about property lines because that's what that was, about destroying the landmarks. You don't go and you move your neighbor's landmark. That's what we're doing. That's what America is doing, is they're moving the landmarks. They're destroying the idea that anything existed before now, that anything was real, that anybody actually built anything. Everything is said to be theft. Everything's said to be rape. Everything's said to have been torture and slavery, and it's just not true. Those things happen, and where they did happen, they were crimes. But that's not all that happened. A lot of people came over here and worked really, really hard. The foundations of civilization, generations. And those are the things being torn down. The biggest one to fall hasn't fallen yet, and that's America. That idol, the idol in the hearts of men, is ceased to be what it once was, which was an idea and a philosophy. And that philosophy is being dismantled, has been dismantled, where even the people that are supposedly supporting it don't. They're more interested in the trappings. and the carnal nature of it all than they are of anything real. And so here we are. Like I said, fewer and fewer people are interested in listening to me. Fewer and fewer people are interested now because stuff's in the store, businesses are open, and I'm glad. I'm glad stuff's in the store. I'm glad businesses are opening up. I hope my movie gets made. I hope it does really, really well. I hope they make a trilogy out of it, and then they go and buy Brother Frank, which they bought the option, and then they make a trilogy out of that. I hope we're here 5 years from now, and things have gotten better and better and better. Why wouldn't I want that? I have children. I have grandchildren. But I think when you're taking an axe to the root, I think when you're taking a sledgehammer to the foundations, I think when you're destroying civilization itself, when you're trying to hit the reset button, which means just basically the destruction of everything that was built, everything good or bad, I think that that portends hard times. Don't worry about it, Hava. I understand people want to. So if you want to, that's good enough. There's a lot of people that don't want to, and I appreciate it. Hello, Wardogheim. You're going to do the bunker fit thing. That's good. All right, Pat. Thank you. I appreciate it. I thank the Lord for you too. You've been a great friend and supporter. And so, the thing is, we have a lot of what do you want to call it? Rubbernecking. There's a lot of rubbernecking. People really don't know exactly what's going to go on. They don't know exactly what's going to happen, but they're blinded. They're blinded about the fact that the very roads under their feet are being ripped up. It's thirsty. It's thirsty time because it's hot. It's hot, and I'm here for you. So that's the thing you need to think about. Instead of running out there and keyboard warrior, they're tearing down statues. I don't care one whit about any of those statues, any of them. Sorry if you think that makes me a traitor. I'm not a statue kind of person. I think those things are, for the most part, idols. I don't think they mean what anybody thinks they mean. And I understand that carnal man desire to build monuments. When God says to do it, we do it. But those things were all typology to be fulfilled and antitype in our own day by our own obedience, our own understanding, our own submission to God's sovereignty, and submission to God's law. We ought to be submitted to the Ten Commandments, not the statue of people who actually obeyed them. We ought to be committed to righteousness and goodness and doing right things and maintaining the true landmarks, property lines, the understanding of Western civilization, all of its foundations, freedom. Those things are the landmarks. It's not the monuments. So I'm not saying that we ought to be applauding, ripping down the. Thank you, War Dogheim. I appreciate that. That is what keeps it going because nothing else is going to do it. I appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. You guys can, anybody that's out there, if you're on YouTube, you can do a super chat, and it's very, very helpful. I lived in Washington, D.C., as I mentioned earlier, Maryland, about 10 miles out of Washington, D.C. And as a young boy in school, we would go to the Jefferson Memorial. We would go to Washington Monument. We would go and see all the different statues and all that. It was interesting. I like to learn the history, but I never cared about the statues. I never thought they were people. I never thought they were anything other than a massive waste of money and time. The idea that somehow those things were going to remind us to teach the next generation of the philosophies of freedom has proven to be false, because those generations did not do that. People still go and visit all those monuments. but the foundational ideas and concepts that should have been built up in the hearts of men have disappeared. Hello, Ohio. And so here we are, and we don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I know some things that are going to happen, but I don't know everything. Do you think schools will reopen in the fall? I've always homeschooled, but curious about your thoughts. I think in some places, I don't know. Again, I'm not an expert on coronavirus. I'm not even supposed to mention his name. I've already got a battle. Every video gets demonetized immediately, and then I have to go apply to get it back, put back on monetization. But I don't know if we're going to have a second recurrence, and I don't know if it'll be real if it happens. It could be, it could not be. Who knows? It could just be another plan to interrupt the election. There are several plans to do that afoot, and so I don't know. I don't know what things are going to be like. Um, I would suspect that some places for sure will open up, and some places are going to decide that the closing down in the first place was a bad idea. So we'll see. There's going to be a huge philosophical divide. If we do see resurgence and a second wave of, I got to keep saying it because no matter what I say, I'm going to piss somebody off. COVID or pretend COVID, whatever it is you think, if we see a resurgence of it where it becomes a major issue, generally the media only has attention for one thing. So all they had the attention for was COVID, and then all they had attention for was riots and what's going on politically and socially. Whether their attention turns back to that, whether or not we have some huge interference in the election, which is not only possible but likely, whether we end up in some kind of war, all of those things are possibilities. They're all threads, they're all timelines that spread out from right the moment we're in right now. And which one we're going to go down, that's to be seen, right? Best we can do is we can look at the ones that are the most likely and go, where does this one lead? In this way, sometimes we can be way ahead of the curve. All right, y'all, I appreciate you being here. If you have questions or comments or any topic you want to talk about, you can just type it into the comment section because I'm here for you. As long as I can be here for you, I'm going to be here for you. And I appreciate the super chat because that surely makes it a lot easier. See, I go through things everybody else goes through. You all have call reluctance. You all sometimes don't want to go to work. Sometimes you don't want to go do something because you know it's probably going to be for naught, right? And so I have those things that go through my mind. I'm walking around and it's 90 degrees and I'm feeding pigs and I'm doing this, and I could spend an hour writing a book. I could spend an hour reading a book. I could spend an hour doing a lot of different things. And part of my mind says, why am I going to go set up some hot lights when it's 90 or 100 degrees and sit in front of it and talk to people if there's absolutely no way I can continue to finance even the $50 a month that it takes just to run StreamYard? And so that's what goes through my mind. And then I do it. What I say all the time, do the next thing, man. Get up and do the next thing. So that's what I'm doing. All right. Ohio plans to, I guess that's schools, but the regulations that are required by the students is ridiculous. That'll be interesting to see. What are your thoughts on those 6 blocks in Seattle that seceded? I knew this was going to come up. Historically, we've seen this before. I just lost something. Oh, my lights went out and my fan went off. That's what happens. I lose power one thing at a time. I think that we've seen this before. It's a flagellation for a dying attitude. It's basically a bunch of wealthy, spoiled people who live in a wealthy area who have been fed collectivist lies their whole life, who somehow believe that if somehow they could just capture themselves a territory, then everybody's just going to come and deliver pancakes, and everybody's going to eat pancakes and have balloons, and it's just going to be a bunch of big party, and everybody's going to have fun. You'll notice the first thing they did is build a wall and get guns. Apparently, their borders are important to them. I'll let that one just boil for a few minutes. However, it's not going to last long. Even rich people get tired and bored. And that's who it is. It's a bunch of rich people, a bunch of spoiled people. Same people have been coming out of their mom's basements with their mom's credit card so they could buy a bunch of black gear and get baseball bats and go beat up old people. So that stuff happens, and I don't think it's going to last long. I think it's a little. It's almost like people playing at being adults. I would love to see a real secession. By the way, I hope Seattle. I hope Washington secedes. I hope California secedes. I hope, I don't know, Vermont secedes. I certainly hope Texas secedes. I would love to see a legitimate secessions. In the past have been instigated and moved forward by adults, intelligent thinking people. Doesn't mean they were all right, but they were intelligent thinking people. Nobody got off the Mayflower until they wrote the Mayflower Compact. The idea that somehow there's not going to be any rules and everybody's just going to do the right thing is based on a demonic and satanic idea that people are foundationally or primarily good, and they're not. There are none good, no, not one, according to the scriptures, and we know that because nobody ever has to teach a child to do good things. I mean, do bad things. You have to teach them to do good things. You don't have to teach them to be selfish. You have to teach them to share. And if you say that's not true, you either haven't had children or your children are monsters. So the idea that people are fundamentally good, and then if you just give them a space, they're all just going to do the right thing as they spray paint everything, and somebody has to come in. And what happens when the garbage piles up and the feces piles up? We saw this same thing in Occupy Wall Street. It's an incomplete denial of the sin nature. I'm not a pro-government guy. I'm an anti-government guy as far as that goes. I'm a bit of an anarchist philosophically. I believe that if we were all truly Christians, we would have no reason to have any government other than God and His law. However, we're occupying this terrestrial blue marble with a bunch of absolute reprobates whose entire foundational ethic is murder and rape and torture. And the only reason they don't do those things is because the restraining hand of God has prevented them from doing it. Just because they haven't killed as many people as they want to, or robbed as many banks as they want to, or any at all, isn't because of any natural goodness in them. It's generally because there are laws and things that would be unpalatable to their flesh if they actually performed those things. And so that doesn't mean that there aren't nice people who aren't Christians, or there aren't people who have developed a moral code based on some higher level of thinking that in and of itself is moderately achievable in the flesh for a moderately limited amount of time. Those things exist too. And I'm sure there are people out there who disagree with me, but I will tell you, there is no major world empire that's ever been built on it that's lasted very long. So yeah, hit the like button, everybody. Subscribe, do all those things. Subscription is one of the real good things, because going back to about a month and a half, we've gone up and down, but mainly straight sideways as far as subscriptions. The things that I say are very challenging. Sometimes people get upset. Sometimes they don't like them. A lot of times they unsubscribe. Almost every show they unsubscribe. And like I said, prior to Wardogheim, his gracious donation a minute ago, the last 3 or 4 shows, I think super chats have added up to $5. So there's not a whole lot of support, but we're doing what we can together as the Bunker Nation. Am I right? All right. If you guys have any questions or any comments, we're at right at 40 minutes. So I got a few more minutes. I can sit here in the heat and talk to you, or if not, I'm going to go do something else. War Dog Heim says civilized people who have been taught civilization have good traits. That's true. They have the tendency to understand that order is a systemic order that's fair, that encourages individual freedom, is the easiest and best way to not live in fear and terror and absolute poverty. Those things are carnal motivations, but they work. And so it's quite possible to, not not be regenerate Christian as I see it, and have a moral code. Like I said, like you said, civilized people tend to have better traits because they see the benefits. Napoleon saw the benefits of not just the order of a system of religion, whatever it is. He had no personal religion, but a system of religion. But he understood the system of order was necessary for the proper functioning of the state. And of course, there are different levels, different hierarchies of how tyranny and totalitarianism fit into that. I personally would like to see a completely different system altogether. So the overturning of this one is not going to cause me to lose any sleep at night. I would like to see it maintained. I'd like to see people live. I'd like to see them be able to learn and listen and all these kind of things, you and me both. But we'll see how it goes. All right, I'm not seeing any questions coming up. On the support page, is there a way to verify your monthly pledge? I don't think we have that yet. I can get on and check it. But I think you're good. I think I've looked at that and I think you're good. Everybody hit the like button. That's what you should do. Whether you're on Facebook or whatever. And if you are on Facebook, if you could cruise over to YouTube after this episode is finished, subscribe and like. Those likes tell YouTube to send this out to more people. So one of the reasons that we've seen a decline in that is because more people are watching through Facebook and watching through the other outlets, which is what I want. In the long term, though, I really need to build the YouTube station because that's really going to be the most easiest way for me to be able to afford to keep doing this. So I'm finding out America's not what I was taught it was. That's probably absolutely correct, and I don't think really anything is exactly what we were taught it was. Things have changed a lot in 50 or 100 years, and a lot of what we were taught was a fantasy, but it was a fantasy whose moral structures were beneficial. In other words, while something that we were taught may not be absolutely factually true as far as these events happened in this exact order, they were moral tales. And those moral tales were beneficial to young minds because they instilled in people the idea that there is a morality. There is there is good and bad. There is darkness and light. And that's what we're seeing, by the way. You'll notice who is operating in the darkness and you'll notice who's operating in the light. Right? I'm not here with my face covered throwing rocks and bricks at you. I'm trying to persuade minds, set brush fires in minds, make people think, teach them how to think, right? We are told we are a democratic nation, but we are a republic. Why were we told we're a democratic nation? Well, because the idea of democracy is mob rule. And that's eventually, when the mob is the one doing the educating, the mob wants mob rule. When the 51% can demand whatever they want, if they can demand secession or they can demand the tearing down of statues or whatever it is, whoever the mass is that shows up gets to do whatever they want. That's mob rule. What we're seeing today is mob rule. And the idea of a republic is that the entirety of the government is being restrained so that it does not participate in the destruction or the infiltration of the freedoms of the smallest minority. And the smallest minority in the world is the individual. So the individual ought not be worried about the mob. His rights and his property ought to be protected by law, and he also ought to have the right to protect those things as well. But when you have a democracy, you got three wolves and a sheep voting on dinner. That's generally what's happening. And so the idea that people vote is not democracy per se. It's not a pure democracy. I'm okay with the idea of people voting, but at the same time, you only allow those things. You only allow things like voting so long as the rights of the smallest minority are always protected, so that the mass man can't vote itself largesse. So the mass man cannot vote itself booty and destruction of our enemies. Democracy at the lowest level, republic to protect the upper levels. I'm not sure what that means. It's just demonocracy. Okay, I got you. All right, y'all. I tell you what, I'm gonna have to go. It's getting hot in here, and since I lost my power and my fan, it's hotter. You see my hair? My hair's gotten wetter as the show has gone on. I appreciate you, Mordogheim. I appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, Lord willing, I'll be here tomorrow. If not, then hopefully the next day. I always appreciate you guys being here. Subscribe and like if you can. And I love you all, and Lord willing, I'll see you soon.